Friends, good to see you. We're live. Rusty with you here. It is CFLW the show. We're doing it here on a Tuesday evening. It is July the 8th. I hope you are doing well. Coming up, we're going to be talking about what I expect for the rest of the week. Get you prepared for increasing storm chances again. We've had a bit of a lull in our activity for today, but overall got a pretty active forecast to get back into. Again, as always, CFLW, the show, is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida, your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Friends, it's storm season. You get any kind of damage to your home, your property, even yourself. So you've been in an auto accident, you've had hail damage, wind damage of any kind, had a burst pipe. They can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They cover all of Florida, so go to leanonmelaw.com if you would like more information. Now, the good news is there's no severe weather right now. That's not why I'm on, because every couple of days I come on for what we call CFLW, the show. Most of the time it's at 1 o'clock, and I normally do it on Friday and Mondays, but you know, we mix it up a little bit here from time to time. Wasn't able to come on yesterday, so wanted to jump on this evening and say hi to everyone and hope you guys are doing well. Hi, Amy. How you doing? I hope you're doing good on this Tuesday evening. 7 o'clock. Now, look, we got a couple of showers out there right now, but I believe that this will be the driest for the rest of the week and into the weekend. So we're going to talk about those storm chances as we kind of move on through the rest of the week. Hope you guys had a great 4th of July weekend as well. It did play out about as I expected, right? Where, you know, July 4th and Saturday were quite stormy. We got just a little bit drier on Sunday, but I hope the storms didn't ruin a lot of your plans. But, you know, you guys were weather aware if you guys tune into the live stream and the shows. And that's really all I want to do. Obviously, I can't impact Mother Nature in certain regards, but we can get you guys set up for what's going to be happening across the area. So let's see what's going on right now. We've got a couple of showers out there, one in the northern sides of Flagler County towards Palm Coast. This might drift over the Palm Coast area. No lightning out of this, at least at this point in time. One little lightning strike has just popped up kind of on the north side of this. Not a ton of lightning here. We have a couple of showers here, the northern sides of Volusia County near Pearson. And again, no real active weather at this point in time. You can clearly see the sea breeze has marched on shore. That's that green line here from the Melbourne radar, and there's a few thunderstorms off towards our south. Let's take a look at current temperatures across the area right now. So let me bring those on with we'll bring on the visible satellite imagery here. So we'll do visible and temperatures. Now look, one story you guys know is when it dries out, it gets hot. What else is new as we get into July? Not outrageously hot today, but there's been a little bit of extra cloud coverage, and we're going to kind of try and pack in some of that as we go through the remainder of the week as well. So currently outside, it's 91 in Orlando, same thing at MCO, 90 in Sanford, 91 in Kissimmee, Leesburg coming in at 88, Inverness and Citrus County also in at the double snowman, Zephyr Hills, Ocala, the double snowman for you as well. Good afternoon to our, I guess it's a good evening now, our friends in Titusville coming in at 86 degrees, Ponce Inlet area 86. A little bit cooler there. And again, one reason why is you're going to have your easterly breeze along our east coast because the east coast sea breeze has kicked inland. That means you guys are tapping into the relatively cooler waters of the coastal Atlantic. And so your temperatures are going to be a little bit cooler in most spots. Hi, Therese. How you doing? Hey, Kevin. Good to see you as well. Lakeland is in the house. Now, we do have a bit of a sea breeze convergence. Could there be an isolated thunderstorm that tries to crop up on this late this evening? It's a possibility, mainly west of Orlando and east of I-75. But I don't expect it to be a very robust sea breeze interaction, okay? So we're really setting up for what's going to be over the next couple of days, building back in the better rain chances out there. Let's check out wind gusts right now as well. Let's bring those on. Nothing outrageous. Jacksonville up to about a 24-mile-an-hour breeze. And let me take this and put this into motion for you guys as well. Let's look at that over the last couple of hours here. So again, winds will also switch in. We'll get our visible satellite imagery up and running as well. So a couple of things to point out. We actually have this trough area here, kind of elongated from northeast to southwest through the central Bahamas. It's going to try and make a little bit of a closer run into our area. It could have a very limited impact on what we could see here. And again, you can see there was a lot of lightning in the northern and northwest Bahamas earlier today, and that's trying to spin in. But ultimately, we're just going to watch more instability coming in from the north and dropping its way down and kind of, again, situating over our area to just see a better coverage of storms really beginning on Thursday and then into Friday and the weekend as well. And we'll kind of have another day where it's, so and so for tomorrow. Better chance than what we had today, but not as much as what we had over the 4th of July weekend. But, I do expect storm chances to be going back up into the higher than normal category beginning on Thursday in most spots and staying relatively elevated for the rest of the weekend into the weekend as well. Well, we got our live cameras here at CFLW, so we got to bring up those for you guys since we're live here. Let's take a live look to what's happening in Winter Garden. Now again, nice veil of clouds, filtered sunshine out there. I mean, a little bit of haze, no real concentration of Saharan dust or anything like that. But again, we don't have those building clouds. These are mid and upper level clouds. Some of those even made out of ice crystals, why there's a bit of wispiness, but it's a beautiful shot there. Again, this camera from Winter Garden is looking to the west, which means we are looking to where sunset is going to be. And this time of the year, that still occurs very deep into the 8 o'clock hour, but that's an interesting shot. We go over to Conway, and this is a completely different view. So from our Conway cam, as we look towards the east, again, you can see a little bit of cloud coverage building in, but it's going to be a beautiful sunset across the air. Boy, yesterday's sunset, you guys catch that one? Man, that was absolutely fantastic. Gorgeous shot here from Conway. Again, not really expecting a lot of shower and thunderstorm chances to get going for the rest of today. Again, the reason why I'm on live right now is we do these CFLW, the shows, and I wanted to jump on and talk to you guys, and just chose this opportunity here in the early evening. First of all, to see if you guys tune in. If you guys have any specific questions of forecast, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But I thought it was a good time to, again, kind of bridge from a little bit drier today and potentially tomorrow into the building rain chances as we get towards the end of the week. Let's look at a couple of different things here as well. Let us bring up the HER model for the rest of today. All right, so this is going to be the high resolution rapid refresh. And I'm just going to take it out until tomorrow morning, because I mentioned there's that little weak sea breeze interaction. And the last time I looked at the HER bottle, I didn't really see it trying to pick up too much. A little bit though, right? A little bit. And again, there's a little bit of an aid off towards the east. So why is it running out all 48 hours? Don't do that. Maybe I told it to, my bad. Just to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning, please, sir. All right, here we go. So this is overnight. Again, you see the activity south of Polk, south of Osceola County. Some of that could be in those areas, but mainly down towards Lake Okeechobee. So we don't really have a lot of development here. If anything, if we go back to the beginning of this time frame at 7 o'clock, potentially between now and sunset, we could get an isolated thunderstorm developing near where that convection is right now, back into Polk and Osceola County. So Haines City, Lake Wales, Kissimmee, maybe even the Lakeland areas, Harmony, Holopaw, maybe St. Cloud. That's about as far north as I expect it to be. And then it should wind back down as we get past sunset, right? So no real interaction here. You get a little bit farther north towards I-10, they could get a little bit more juice to pop off a couple of additional thunderstorms late tonight, and then it quiets back down. If you look off towards our east coast, again, there's a lot of active weather here that the northwest extent of that is going to try and spiral back in and at least feed in to some of the energy that I expect here as we go a little bit deeper into the week. And I've got some city by city forecasts for you guys as well. Hey, Therese, how you doing? She says, I'm flying out Thursday morning. Do you see any potential problems? Generally speaking, no, Therese. Even though I expect us to have higher than normal rain chances redeveloping beginning on Thursday, these are still going to mainly be afternoon and evening showers and storms, okay? So at this point in time, I wouldn't expect there to be any travel problems if you're flying out before the noontime hour, all right? So you should be good to go with that. But I appreciate the question. Thank you very much. Blue Goose is in the house. St. Augustine, good to see you. 80 degrees and that chef's kiss, 95% humidity. My best friend, who I grew up with in Crystal River, was visiting yesterday, and he now lives in Arizona. He's lived in Arizona forever. And so he doesn't come back. He comes back to Florida some, but I don't think he comes back to Florida much in the summertime. And he's like, I don't remember it being this humid. He's like, I don't really know how you guys handle it these days. And I was like, I suppose that means you're not moving back anytime soon. He's like, I don't think so. Right? So it's funny because, someone who grew up in this and then they get back into it and they feel it. And I mean, it's something, it's like breathing through a straw out there sometimes as well. It's interesting. I'm bringing back on the temperatures here. Blue Goose, did you catch a shower earlier in the day? Or was that just a little bit of that East Coast sea breeze kicking in? Go back over to the SATRAD. Yeah, you had a little bit of overcast. Yeah, you had a good thunderstorm earlier, didn't you? Nice. I knew they were developing close, but they came through. And actually on the kind of the south extent of that is where we're getting a couple of showers popping up over Flagler County. I don't expect them to move much more than that, but if you live up in Flagler County or near Palm Coast, you know, that's an area that could get a little bit way of an increase in activity here between now and sunset. Again, most of anything that we're to develop here today in an extremely isolated fashion would be between now and sunset and then quickly dying back down. So let me show you guys kind of the expanded view here of what I expect to happen over the next couple days across the country. If you notice, there's a ton of juice right now, portions of the Midwest, back into the I-95 corridor, the mid-Atlantic states, the Delmarva Peninsula, and look at the heat. These are current temperatures past 7 o'clock, and where it hasn't stormed through the Carolinas and up towards, you know, the Delmarva area, including earlier the day, Philadelphia and Baltimore, they were in the mid-90s. All right, there's a lot of that energy that's going to be slipping its way a little bit off of the East Coast and working its way back down to the south. So the risk for severe storms for today is up there, right, with another generalized marginal risk down off towards the south. For tomorrow, you're going to start to see that area encroach our region, staying to the north, but it gives you an idea of some of the support for the stronger storms and the more widespread storms to begin to eat their way back into Florida starting on your Wednesday. All right. Can't rule out, again, a couple of isolated storms for tomorrow, and we'll look at that in the model coming up. That could be on the stronger side. I don't expect anything to be organized. And even Thursday through the weekend, I don't expect there to be a lot of organized severe weather. It's just that the coverage of storms, again, is going to be up. Is it 4th of July kind of coverage? At this point in time, no. But if we say, you know, here's normal, here's what happened over the 4th of July, we're kind of somewhere in the middle or even a little bit leaning more towards the 4th. You'll take a look at it. I've got some pretty high rain chances coming back into the forecast. And then for Thursday's risk, it never fully gets here as far as any organized severe weather, right? But basically, the eastern third, or most of the time, eastern 2/3 of the United States will continue to see extremely active weather and extremely hot weather as well. When you look at the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, we are going to stay on the toasty side, all right? So on the legend, anywhere that you see yellows, oranges, or reds, we expect to have temperatures above average in the next 6 to 10 days. All right, and it doesn't even count, again, the first 5 days. This is the 6 to 10 day extended outlook. So it's going to be hot, it's going to be humid through the weekend, and then this picks up next week, and it's going to be hot, and it's going to be humid for most of next week through the work week as well. All right, you get the idea of that we're not changing this up anytime soon, and it's going to be blazing hot in the Ohio Valley, in the Northeast, and New England relative to their normal temperatures. Again, this is what's your chance above or below normal that you would have, right? The deeper into the red you go, the higher chance that you will be above average temperature wise in the 6 to 10 day time frame. And then when we look at the rainfall chances, we're going to stay relatively active. We're in kind of the lighter green, but that still gives us a better than average chance of being wetter than normal in the 6 to 10 day time frame. So if we're going to stay hot and muggy, at least we're going to have the potential to cool things off with a few thunderstorms and keeping the sprinklers off in most areas as well, right? I mean, I had some massive mushrooms developing in my yard over the 4th of July weekend. Hey, Blue Goose. Hey, Jaden, how you doing? Good to see you. You got a near miss here. It went by north and south of us. That was a pretty good thunderstorm in your area to miss you, but I've seen it too. There was a storm yesterday that got really close to the house, and then it looked like it did at Splitsville and dissipated as well. So we've all been there, right, where you see an approaching storm and like, all right, here we go. Here it comes, and the next thing you know, it splits, or one section of it dies, the other section then pulses up and it moves away from you. You know, it happens from time to time, and then other times, you know, out of the blue kinds of storms. But that's interesting that you actually missed that. So let's break down what I expect for tomorrow, going back to the model here. So we're going to bring back up our HER model, and then I'm going to start at this time tomorrow morning. And then I'm going to take it out until Thursday afternoon. So again, you're just going to see the increase of activity begin to encroach our area again. Still expecting tomorrow the highest chance for storms to be in interior locations, but you can clearly see that overall your rain chance is going to be going back up. All right. So again, tomorrow morning we're dry. Through lunchtime we're dry, and then into the afternoon it's just as we would typically see. But here come the thunderstorms. 4, 5, 6 o'clock. 7 o'clock, here's 8 o'clock, and now you have a lot more prolific activity across the spine of the state. We are going to get a bit of a sea breeze interaction for tomorrow. There's going to be a little bit of support in the mid-levels of the atmosphere as well. All of that combined is going to aid in a better than normal chance, mainly again, interior sections. Far west coast, Nature Coast, back down towards Hudson and Clearwater Beach and Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota, mainly dry. Far east coast, St. Augustine, Palm Coast, Daytona Beach, Ormond Beach, Titusville, Merritt Island, the Cape, Satellite Beach, back down towards Indian River Beach, mainly dry. Can't rule out a couple of storms, but we're mainly dry. But interior sections, here you go, Alachua County, Putnam County, Marion County, western sides of Flagler, Lake, Seminole, Orange, portions of Sumter, and Polk and Osceola counties. This is the best chance for storms for tomorrow, and potentially pretty late in the day as well. So again, back to the model one more time. Here's 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Could get some thunderstorms around the Orlando area. Here's 9 o'clock again, locally heavy downpours, even right around sunset. And the interesting thing is that the HRRR model actually tries to keep these going a little bit more. And there's a little bit more juice in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It's absolutely plausible that some of these could linger past the sunset hour for tomorrow. And also trying to redirect these storms back towards the East Coast. So the interesting thing is a place like Daytona Beach, your best chance for a storm tomorrow, and it's not a high-end chance, but your best chance may actually be after sunset tomorrow night, even into the wee hours of Thursday morning. It's not out of the question, right? Then as we get into Thursday morning, we're dry. Teresa, you're talking about thunderstorms for Thursday. Here you go, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. We're still dry. Not expecting anything because we don't have this trough sitting right over us like we did over the 4th of July, which is why I knew we were going to get some storms even in the morning hours. This day we're just going to start popping off not long after sunrise. They got a little bit more widespread, obviously, late morning and into the early afternoon, and then went gangbusters, later in the day. But we don't have that kind of support here in Florida for the morning hours. So we're still going to need the sea breeze to kick in and help things out. But of course, now you develop some storms tomorrow. Now you get the old outflow boundary from the storms, and now you're going to get a little bit more in the way of some widespread activity to begin on Thursday. So back over to the model again through the afternoon hours, and you see a few more storms begin to pick back up on Thursday afternoon. Switching over to the GFS model, and we'll go from there, and then I'm just going to extend it out in the long term. By the way, for anyone thinking about it, let's see here, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, we'll go out to the 12th. Obviously, we had Tropical Storm Chantal, right? All that played out. Did you guys know that Chantal actually got up to 60-mile-an-hour winds before landfall near Myrtle Beach? It was, again, unbelievable. We shouldn't be surprised about how quickly these tropical systems develop. I mean, just go back to last year, Helene and Milton. But the fact that this was a very quickly developing tropical storm, very close to land, and was still able to get up to 60-mile-an-hour winds is still pretty impressive. But again, I shouldn't be shocked, like me personally telling myself, about how quickly these storms develop. Because, for a time, on the Media Mundo channel saying, I think it's going to become a storm, but, there's an opportunity it could stay to pressure, but probably like a 40, 45 mile an hour tropical storm. And, and then it became that. I was like, okay, that's probably near its highest end. And then, I wake up on Sunday morning and the winds are 60 miles an hour. And, that makes a difference. 40 to 45 up to 60, that's your special weather statement to severe thunderstorm wind criteria. And again, those are sustained winds that we're talking about with some locally higher gusts. So again, the GFS model is all over the place, scattered in nature, but there's just going to be more of an abundant amount of moisture in play as we get into the latter part of the week and into the weekend to spell a little bit better chance for showers and storms. And you can ultimately see that this trough ends up kind of getting elongated and gets pulled up the Gulf Stream here. But it'll be interesting to see how this all kind of fills in. I do expect there to be More widespread storms. I don't expect it to be a washout, right? We talked about that over the 4th of July weekend. It's not one of those where you have to find other activities. It's just when, thunder roars, you get indoors, guys. It's just that time of the year that we have to be very vigilant when we get the storms, but there's just going to be many more areas that are going to be under the influence of this, as we push into, especially Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. So this is what it looks like daily for you guys here in Orlando. For tomorrow, again, late in the day, and potentially this doesn't even get rolling until 6 o'clock in the Orlando metro area, but overall we end up with a 60% chance for storms. That's above average. We're going to stay at the 60% chance overall on Thursday, and then I'm going to even kick it up a notch on Friday. Again, not expecting anything very organized with severe storms, but this time of the year, special weather statements or an isolated severe thunderstorm, mainly for winds, certainly not out of the question. I'll be monitoring the situation. I don't expect there to be much of a way of any change to the temperatures anytime soon. I've got 93 across the board in Orlando, morning lows in the mid 70s. That's about where we should be in July. It's a little bit warmer in the afternoon than, normal, but 91, 92, 93, you can kind of paint it in each and every day. It feels like probably through at least early September, if not even beyond. So along the West Coast in Tampa, thunderstorms might be slightly more limited for tomorrow, but they should be building in as well. Ultimately getting by the end of the day tomorrow up to about a 50% chance for storms, then 60 on Thursday, then 70 on Friday. So all of Central Florida gets into the act with better thunderstorm chances. I promise you I didn't just copy and paste the temperatures in Orlando. Yes, believe it or not, as long as you get off of the West Coast, so it's going to be a little bit cooler, places like Clearwater, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota Beaches, Anna Maria Island, places like that, but you get slightly inland, right? And I know we have Tampa Bay, but the city itself, it's going to play out very similar temperature-wise. There's not going to be a ton of a difference here from Ocala to the Villages to Tampa to Lakeland to Orlando and to, DeLand and Stanford, places like that. 92, 93 degrees, you can stamp it in. Morning lows that will mainly be in the mid-70s. Again, back out to our live cameras if you guys are just tuning in, and appreciate you doing so. A little bit of a veil of kind of just overcast here in the Winter Garden area, the western side of Orange County. Again, we're getting a little bit closer to sunset, more than an hour away, but these are not really rain-bearing clouds at this point in time, right? You don't really have an opportunity to get any showers out of this. So, you got any plans, you want to wrap up the day outdoors? I think it's absolutely going to be a fine day to do that. Maybe you've been waiting to get a little bit of gardening done when it's been a little bit cooler outside, get the lawn mowed, take that late evening walk. I think you're going to be looking absolutely fantastic. Back over to Conway now, and again, a beautiful shot here. More blue sky. We're looking back off towards the east coast. And again, a little bit away of some building in cloud coverage here, but no threat for any showers here in the Conway area in downtown Orlando. Again, get out on the lake, watch the Gators, as always, but enjoy yourself. Whatever activity you might want to get done. And again, everyone, it doesn't really matter, but especially, the older folks, you got to take advantage of these evenings where it's dry, where you can get out in the late part of the day and you don't have to have the extreme heat of the afternoon hours, right? Or you get it done early in the morning as well. Now back over to the live radar. Of course, there's a couple of showers here to rumble of thunder. We do see a couple up in northern sides of Flagler County, and it's building in a little bit at this point in time. Let me get the live lightning data back on right now. I don't expect this storm to do much more than this, but potentially expand a little bit more. But Palm Coast is starting to get a little bit of that shower activity towards Bunnell. This is the loop over the last half hour of what it's looked like. Again, it's not really moving, but it's expanding slightly farther off towards the south and maybe towards the east. So right across State Road 100 right now, west of Bunnell, towards Crescent City and Pomona Park, there in Putnam County, and a little shower has developed here over the northern sides of Volusia County, but that's about it. More of some rain and storms that were up in Jacksonville, they're beginning to fade at the hour. And again, we looked at it here on her model. You guys can clearly see the East Coast sea breeze marching in. We do have a cluster of thunderstorms in extreme southern Osceola County and potentially trying to nudge its way even back into southeast Polk County. As this sea breeze marches in, you can see the shower that's developed over Haines City. There's an opportunity that some of this could propagate a little bit farther to the north. Potentially as far north as Kissimmee, but I think generally speaking farther south here, right? So we'll see how it plays out, but this would be the one area between now and sunset with an opportunity to see some new initiation and some new development. All right, but that would be about it. Everyone else, I think, is relatively quiet, and you can clearly see that the sea breeze is sneaking into the eastern sides of Orange County. So what's really interesting, if you live in Avalon Park or the UCF area or Chuliota, you're starting to pick up a little bit of an east wind right now. And if you still live in downtown Orlando, or you live in downtown Orlando, or areas to the west, you're still going to have more of a variable wind, or mainly potentially even a west wind. But that's what that is. That's the sea breeze coming in. We pick it up on the radar. The wind shift out of the east, Avalon Park, Wedgefield has also felt it as well. Friends, if anyone has a specific question about the forecast, let me know in the comments section below. Got a quick question for me? I'm absolutely happy to answer that for you guys. Again, on live right now, not because there's any severe weather in Central Florida, but if you guys are friends of the channel, you know I also do a couple of live shows each week. We call it CFLW The Show. Most of the time, they're Monday and Friday at 1 p.m. Wasn't able to do the show yesterday, so I wanted to come on this evening, not only because I wanted to make sure I got on sooner than later, but also, you know, hey, let's try out the evening, see how things are going, you know, see what people think about this, and go from there, right? That's the great thing about doing this on the digital platform. We can do this at, you know, our leisure for the most part. We can go on long as we want to. We can chat as long as we feel like, and we don't have any time constraints, and we don't have really any schedule constraints as well. And so that's one of the fun things that I like, and I want to take advantage of that. And I appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, thank you so much for liking this live stream if you haven't as of yet, and subscribe to CFLW if you haven't. Remember, this is a live only channel. I'm only on live. There's no video forecast updates here. I'm either live with CFLW The Show to get you prepared for what I expect in the coming days. Again, the Monday show typically covers the rest of the week, and Friday covers Friday and the weekend. And then when I'm on live and other times, typically it's because there's some active weather to talk about here in Central Florida and get you guys prepared for that. Are we dealing with the Saharan dust? Not really. We might have just the thinnest of layers coming in. I looked at it over on the Meteorologist channel. I could do a couple of other channels, but the Meteorologist channel, we do the Caribbean, the Bahamas. So a lot of, you know, tropical forecasting, and the Saharan dust layer is very concentrated there. We could catch a little bit of the northern extent of that blue goose, but the thickest plume part of that is actually moving basically due west through the Caribbean. I have a dust product. If I go over to the, let me do this real quick. If I go over here and we drop off the radar, I've never really liked it though. I don't know if it really tells the story. Let's see here. It's not even actually showing up right now. Well, it's not showing up, but I gotta tell you, it's nothing I'm crazy impressive with. Let's see here. Come on, get me back to single band. Oh, do I not have it on? Okay, there we go. Let's try this again. There we go. That's my bad. I didn't realize we didn't have it on. This is the dust product here. And really, this is kind of the thickest dust, but it also, to me, it never really fully picks up where it is because, you know, there's not a lot of actually dust up here. It's a product that I'm not a big fan of. The brighter colors would be indicative of the thicker areas, but a lot of that is actually, you can see a little bit of that streaking in, but, you know, you're looking here at like the purple areas, by the way. Let me be clear about that, not the reds, the purples. Thunder and Kissimmee. It has to be really far away, Therese. Down here. You got good ears, or it's just really loud thunder. I mean, this storm is getting going, don't get me wrong, but it's way down there. Interesting. But yeah, I mean, this storm is pulsing up, even producing potentially some small hail, but it's way down there. Like, it's technically just skirting Osceola County, and then you've got this one little shower here, but there's no lightning out of any end of it. So that's interesting. Now, look, could there be something trying to develop off of our sea breeze line? It's an opportunity, but again, I don't expect it to be much. You're welcome, Amy. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You got a blue goose? Yeah, we could catch a little bit of it, but I'm not expecting a ton. All right, friends. I think it's going to do it for our live stream. Again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Want to take a second, reconnect with you guys, let you know what I expect for the rest of the week. So, as always, right, if there's any impactful weather, I'll be monitoring the situation. If I need to come on live and cover the storms, I absolutely will do so. You know that. We also have the ability to just stream our radars and our cameras, and we could do that from time to time as well, just depending on the situation. So keep an eye out for any of those things if the weather becomes impactful. We're not going to have any other scheduled streams for the remainder of the week, so we won't have a show for Friday at 1 o'clock. But again, if there's an opportunity or a need to come on live, I will certainly do so for the rest of the week and into the weekend. And if nothing else, I'll see you guys back next Monday for a CFLW show at 1 o'clock. I really do appreciate you guys for liking this. Thank you, Therese, for the 1,000 subscriber. Congratulations. Yes, appreciate you guys helping me to grow the channel. We got a long way to go, but I'm excited to do that with you guys, and I appreciate you guys being part of the first 1,000 subscribers. I also appreciate the Lean Law Firm for being the sponsor of the channel. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. Remember, friends, they cover the entire state of Florida, so from the Panhandle to the Keys, if you live in Florida, they got you covered. You get a storm in your area, you get damage of any kind, you've been in an auto accident, they can walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. We never like to think about it. We want to advocate on our side when something like that happens, and you want to support someone who supports the channel. I do encourage you to check out leanonmelaw.com. Bobby Lean and the team there. They're fantastic people, and I appreciate them being supporters of the channel as well. Okay, friends, have a great rest of your Tuesday night. You all take care. And again, whenever there's impactful weather here in Central Florida, I'll be back on to tell your weather story. Until then, you guys have a great one and take care.